second round of 2024 NBA playoffs review. So, it was a pretty crazy round of, of games and matchups. Um, in terms of my picks for this round, I only got one right. So um, fair matchup. Both teams fully healthy, um, but Dallas was able to prevail, winning 4-2. Um, Shea was consistent. It wasn't any drop off from the Shea we've seen in the regular season, and then the Shea in the playoffs. He was still averaging that 30-point mark, staying in that range. Um, it's a super young team. He's definitely overachieved. When you talk about how old they are, the average age on that team, they definitely overachieved, being the number one seed in the playoffs in the Western Conference. Um, great season for them. They're a young team. They're gonna be, you know, contenders for the next however long, for sure the next 5 to 8 years. Um, they're gonna be if they can keep this core guys together and they can keep on improving. This season, this off season, I think they definitely need to work on the development of Jalen Williams and Chet, because those are going to be the next. You're going to have obviously Shea is the number one scoring option, and then you know figure out between whether it's going to be Chet and Jalen. Um, it's going to be kind of their development is going to obviously gonna go on its own course, but they where the pecking order, whether you're going to have Chet as your second scoring option or Jalen, they're going to have to really figure that out this offseason because in this playoff round, I didn't think there was a real understanding of who was going to be that second guy or third guy to, you know, step it up. Like, is it going to be Chet? Is it going to be Jalen? And like I said, this is a super young guy. Chet's a rookie, um, a redshirt rookie. Jalen is, I think, in his like second or third year. Um, these guys, both of those guys, I think are going to end up being all stars at some point in their career. So, uh, yeah, man, big shout out to Oklahoma City Thunder. Also, big shout out, obviously, to Dallas Mavericks advancing, winning. Luca played lights out. Kyrie did his thing, not play his best, but he had a couple good games, of course. PJ Washington has really been the guy who's been the X factor, who has stepped up for that Dallas Mavericks team, like in ways that I didn't imagine or take into consideration. Shout out to PJ Washington, he's been balling out, um, and you know, yeah. So then you got the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. I had picked Denver Nuggets to win. Obviously, that didn't happen. Minnesota Timberwolves win in 7 games, 4-3 at Denver. Um, this Minnesota Timberwolves team has been on a crazy tear. They've caught the right momentum at the right time. Um, this is they're right now the team with the most esteem and momentum, similar to how Miami was last year, where they just had that momentum. They was on a run, and I think it's the same thing with this Timberwolves team. Um, they got crazy length. They're the best defensive team in the league. Um, and obviously they have people who can score the basketball. So I think, in my personal opinion, they're the most well-rounded team in the playoffs. Um, they were able to make it really challenging for Joker. As great as Joker is, he still had some good games, but they definitely made it really hard and challenging for him to, you know, do his thing and play. his best. But Jamal Murray in the last, he had 35. Joker played well. Um, I think Denver is gonna, MPJ is kind of where things kind of dropped off because he had like 6 points and he had a bad shooting night. Um, and obviously they're expecting him to be that third scorer. Aaron Gordon, those two guys didn't really show up, and I think that was kind of what um, resulted in that them losing. Um, I think that Denver's going to be right back at it next year. You know, same position, one of the top contenders. Then they probably going to end up. They need to draft. It's not draft, but sign some free agents, some vets. Then they need to sign some good vets that can come in and score. I think they need some scoring at that wing position. Um, that really, mainly the two guard, because you got KCP and Christian Braun, both good, solid players. But I think you need a little bit more explosiveness offensively, like when they had Bruce Brown. People don't know understand Bruce Brown was such an underrated guy on that Denver Nuggets team from last, the championship year. He was that scorer that they, could come in and just give you buckets, you know, give you 15 to 20. You know what I'm saying? And they missed that. I think that was a major key that they missed this Denver Nuggets team, Bruce Brown, the scoring that he provided for that team. They definitely missed that. Um, but they Denver's gonna be right back at it. But shout out to the Timberwolves who just been on this tier. They got a nice rotation of guys who just going out there and just playing hard and getting after it. But you know, Timberwolves, man, this might be their year. Um, and then lastly, the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. Um, New York Knicks, I picked them to win the series, and they ended up losing in seven to Indiana Pacers. Um, Big reason to me, in my opinion, injuries. Um, Jalen Brunson got hurt during, I think, like the fourth quarter, third quarter, second half of the game seven or something like that. OG Anunoby, who's one of their starters and key players, was injured. Mitchell Robinson got some injured. Um, Bogdanovich, he didn't play throughout the playoffs, I believe, and then Julius Randle didn't play as well. So you have, their main key guys who were hurt, and you have your main guys hurt, and how you expect to perform at your best capability. I think this is a nice New York team, Knicks team. Um, you got as a star, an all-star guy. You got two all-stars. You got some good role players around you. I think they need to add another. If I think they should be targeting two guys, New York Knicks, Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker. If they can get one of those two guys to come in there in New York, I think they are a serious contender for the championship now. They can get one of those two guys to come and they can stay healthy with all the core guys that they got. They can manage that. I think that puts them as a serious championship contender, man. New York Knicks got some really good pieces. They're not that far off of, like I said, being a real contender in this league in terms of winning the NBA championship. So future is definitely bright for the Knicks. Gotta give a kudos to Indiana Pacers for winning. Uh, I'm gonna be, they've been pretty lucky, no disrespect to them, throughout the playoffs. They played teams that have, unfortunately, their best players and their, guys in their rotation and whatnot. Their starters have been injured, like in the first round. Giannis is injured. Dame is injured. And then now they play the Knicks. Um, Jalen Brunson, Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, no Julius Randle, no Bogdanovich. You know that these are huge advantages. But nonetheless, you gotta give credit to them because they still take care of business. They won, you know, which they should win. And you can't knock them. They're just playing who's in front of them and who's there. You know what I'm saying? So, um, shout out to them. Just continuing to compete and do what they got to do to advance. Um, T.J. McConnell, you know, balled out, balled out. I think he was really the real X factor for the Pacers um, this past series and throughout the playoffs. He T.J. McConnell stepped up in a lot of ways. Has been super productive, guarding not only scoring and assisting, but guarding Jalen Brunson, making it challenging for Jalen Brunson. I think a couple of times he guarded Jalen Brunson full court. So I think TJ McConnell's really the MVP of the past series. Obviously, you got Tyrese Halliburton. He's starting to kind of catch fire and struggled, a lot the first round against the Bucks. Had some good games against the Knicks, and I think he's starting to get warmed up, getting his rhythm. So, um, looking for him to really ball out, you know, in this, as they advance and play in the Eastern Conference. Um, so yeah, good round of games. I enjoyed all the games, um, and I'm just looking forward to the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference Finals moving forward.